not only guide my cause and somebody else's cause also, you know, to be true in terms of not only me being true, however, somebody else being true, will guide the cause of something being much more easier felt on me and on people. You know, people are supposed to guide one another to want to be the answers. People are supposed to guide one another to want to be the answers. You're not supposed to go against me or go against someone else or do some type of a forbidden element thing of what people are doing and then expecting different results, you know? That's not how anything works. That's why there's all this pressure, possibly, you know? All this pressure that people are feeling is not a coincidence of what is occurring. People are feeling all this pressure because there's a lot of wrong dysfunctions and wrong decisions and choices being made. People are still going out to the store and claiming, I know that doesn't have anything to do with anything, and then possibly connecting themselves to somebody else saying the same thing. Oh, no, that doesn't have anything to do with anything, you know? And literally, they're taking light risks. When I understood about 4 years ago, literally 4 years ago, when I understood, like, okay, this is wrong, you know what I did? I didn't hesitate. I didn't look back. I didn't think about that. Immediately, I stopped something. Realistically, that's what occurred. Yet I knew that there's many things I don't understand also, that I'm not going to always understand, that I have to only do whatever I do understand in terms of what is true for me to be able to stop something for later on in time for me to be able to understand what needs to be understood. Because I realize I'm not going to always understand something on time, you know? I may need 10, 20, 100,000 things of what I need to understand to then be able to understand something else. And so I said, okay, well, I understand that at least. You know, I know that at least. So therefore, I can at least do something else. You know, so I did whatever I understood to then be able to understand something else, 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 etc. And that's what I'm continuing to do. Not everything you will understand. However, those that do understand are telling you, hey, you know what? This is what is true. At least understand the person to then understand if the person is true or false. Therefore, you can at least not understand something else. However, you at least understand something else to be able to understand something else later, or then to do something so then you could understand something later. So the entire understanding leads people to the path of being true and attaining true knowledge. Okay? The entire understanding leads people to the path of being true and attaining true knowledge. What is true? Well, every single thing to do with what is true is what is true. And every single thing to do with truth all has to do with everything generally being good, caring, being kind, being true. Okay? That is what is true. Everything to do with everything good you can think of, whatever anything good is on this life that we live, is what is true. I'm cold. This is warm. Is that good? Yeah, because I'm able to warm myself. And I'm able to go back to my body temperature. Well, I'm not cold. I just said I was cold to give an example of the water here that's warm. I just want to drink warm water at the moment. Then, well, I guess this is tea. No, I'm not guess. However, this is tea. So the good thing about me is that usually I catch myself too. Anytime I'm making a mistake, I catch myself and I correct myself. However, that's also with a purpose too of what that is, from my understanding. So people can realize that they're making a lot of mistakes and may think, who cares? Big deal, you know? I guess this is tea. No, I know this is tea. And today somebody was mentioning a word again, and the word that they were mentioning didn't add on to what I was understanding or perceiving of what they were saying. Well, a person like me, being honest with being true, whatever word you use, I still understand what you're trying to say. Don't misunderstand me. I still understand. The person that uses lie excuses and everything else, to them they may say, "Oh, look, you know, I don't understand that." However, they may be playing games in terms of claiming that they don't understand something when they do, and they're just acting like fools. Nobody will take them seriously. Yet, if there's one person similar to that, two people similar to that, three person, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 100,000, you know, something, whether you take that person serious or not, they're going to have some type of a wrong effect on you or on somebody else. So the point would be to minimize the loopholes of people picking and choosing whatever they're picking and choosing to then be able to say, hey, you know what? I did this because I didn't understand something. I perceived this differently, or I interpreted this differently, and I don't understand this of what this equals to. You know, using lie excuses versus somebody that realistically doesn't understand. They may be brainwashed or conditioned some other type of a particular style that I may not be aware of, and they may not be aware of, and somebody else may not be aware of. And so, therefore, somebody says, well, I perceive this in this particular style, and therefore I made this decision or this choice. Now, okay, yeah, sure. You know, didn't understand that in that particular style, therefore you made that choice or decision that otherwise I wouldn't be making. So, therefore, the choice decision that you do know is true, can you be making that choice and decision? In other words, the choice and decision is what the issue is. You know, regardless, let's say you understand, you don't understand. Why is the person able to make a choice decision that has nothing to do with the answer? I don't understand a lot of things either. I can make a lot of choices, a lot of decisions that also, you know, will also not make sense. Should I be able to make a lot of choice decisions that don't make sense? No. I should not be, I, Gevorkian, should not be able to make wrong choices, wrong decisions that don't make sense. That is not true. It has nothing to do with what is true. That will save a lot of people a lot of headache, a lot of trouble of what they're doing every single day. I don't make a choice decision that is false. Somebody else doesn't make a choice decision that is false, and therefore the wrong doing, the wrong process, the wrong anything, whatever anything is, doesn't is not manifested in reality. Something is refrained from being manifested in reality. Correction. Something is stopped from being manifested in reality. Therefore, a wrong choice, wrong decision, being able to make, allowing the person to make a wrong choice, wrong decision is the issue. Yet, I can make wrong choices, wrong decisions. However, because I have true knowledge of myself, I refrain from making a wrong choice and a wrong decision. So I'm refraining from, I'm holding off, I'm stopping myself from making a wrong choice, wrong decision that has nothing to do with what the truth is. And you know what is going on? I just saw misunderstanding, lack of understanding, choice, and decision that somebody decided to do at the moment of time. They decided to show me a nonsense vision that I don't want to see and made me feel a weird way, you know? I don't want to feel that. I don't want to see that. I don't want to know about that. A nonsense private vision of somebody else. In their minds, they think they're correct. They want to tell me, like, oh, well, all this time I could have done something. Well, I have been all this time. What would be the difference between me doing this or me going outside or me recording myself when the information is known and can be all over the place? That's why I stopped also from not doing this and not doing something else and not doing something else because I'm arguing that, you know what, you're aware of me, you can know my information, and everybody has to do their part to in terms of spread the information in terms of what the truth is so people can realistically be the answers. Because somebody was trying to make me or somebody else believe that I was wrong. While that was going on, that needed to be established. And then once that was established, then I can do this. There's a lot of other things that are going on that are not established. And you know what? I want something to be established so that I could move forward. I don't like being stuck, stagnant behind. Yet I'm stuck, stagnant behind because I rather suffer than something not be established and I move forward and some type of issue may occur. So the wrong mathers, you know, whoever they are, whatever they're doing, they have to be, you know, known and stop their wrong math. For me to be able to do something that is true and correct. How can I, a person like me, do something true and correct that is in need of this reality? Be stopped from doing something true and correct. Because if I do something that is still correct, some type of an issue may be occurring because somebody did some type of a attachment, some type of a belief game, some type of a wrong measurement, some type of a fixed math, something to limit something, to control something, where some other measurement will take off that will have nothing to do with reality or what the truth is. A lot of what I say, people have to allow to sink in. Okay, people have to allow to sink in for the true direction, for the true manifestation to be enabled to occur. So when people are continuously getting reflections of themselves, whoever that pertains to, that realistically pertains to the people that are getting the reflections of what they pertain to them. So they can understand, hey, you know what? Something is wrong. Hey, you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. Hey, you know what? What if I change this? Will that affect the other person changing that? And in my mind, I'm like, yeah, the entire time I've been mentioning the same thing. What are people waiting for? You know, if something was and had to do with something that has nothing to do with reality, I say, okay, you know what? Think all you want. You know, think some more. So then you won't have to do something similar to that. However, if something has to do with reality and something being wrong that somebody needs to change immediately, yet they're sitting over there thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking. You know, if you're doing what I did, if you did a lot of thinking, what I did, I'd say, okay, you know what? There's going to be a production going on. There's going to be some type of producing going on of some people thinking, and something's going to realistically be where I'm going to be in awe, and something is going to be affected in a positive, correct, true, quote unquote manner. So The entire point is to understand. The entire point is to change, to be aware. Excuse me. The entire point is to want to change, to want to be aware, to want to understand, to want to attain knowledge, to want to be true self and true nature, to want to fulfill purpose and destiny of who you are, to want to be a correct and positive impact on this earth, to want to give, to be a giving person more than you take. Realistically, the situation in this life is calling for people to realistically be the giving tree. Give more than you take. Because why? Because people have been taking so much that what else are you going to take without giving? Not giving is the virus. Because think about this. You take, you take, you take. What do you leave behind for something or someone else? Or what do you give back to fill the void of what you took? There's a void. You took something. There's a void now. What are you going to do to replace that void and the other 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 void? Just because something or something says, oh yeah, this can be fixed. Remember, just because something can be fixed doesn't equal that something will not affect something else of being dysfunctional. Wrong effects. And even though you may think nothing will matter, that's something else. No, that's something else that you think will not have an effect, will have an effect. Think in terms of similar to that, where the point is to only correct, not to break or not to mess with. Because not being able to, you say, okay, well, I can fix this. Something may be more difficult to fix, impossible to fix, not fixable at all, in other words. Or the very same thing that you think can be fixed may have a wrong effect, a wrong influence on something somewhere else. Maybe a delay, maybe a lag, maybe a prolong, maybe an extending of something. In other words, it's not the answer. So something not being the answer is realistically what the truth is. And everything I'm mentioning, everything pinpoints to what I did and what I'm doing in terms of me being true and for people that were true that made the biggest impact on my life. Everything else is a lie. I'm telling you what the answer is. I'm telling you what the truth is. And everything to do with truth can take credit for every single thing. I'm talking about the tiniest amount of truth that they did. Because I noticed that in the entire midst, somebody did something huge in terms of all the what they did, the fuss, that had nothing to do with anything, and everything to do with realistically what was true is responsible for everything. Okay? That's the answer in terms of what the answer is. And this is very, very significant because some groups are trying to take credit for everything and they cannot take credit for anything. They don't deserve to take credit for anything. Usually, anytime there was some type of a weird group in my life, anything that they did, what I did is there was a reflection of themselves, and that was that. And everything I knew in terms of true knowledge and everything to do with truth, I added on to some type of a story. Okay? If I didn't do that, those groups are nothing to me, realistically. There may be specifications, though. There may be specifications of what they did that resulted to some type of a thing occurring. However, remember, in that specific moment, that specification, either that something had to do with me adding on to something, or in that same moment, there was a play out, there was a vision, there was a thought, something that made them look good, made them seem like they were needed. That was all. And I've mentioned this before, there's a reminder. Don't get the story twisted. What is true is true, what is false, you cannot claim that something false is true. So I would suggest, every form of play out that is realistically dysfunctional has nothing to do with reality, realistically. And it wasn't responsible for anything. Maybe several specific people were, however, that was the minority, the majority. The majority was false. And some groups, they want to prove to themselves and to other people. They want to prove to me and to other people, like, oh, look, watch. We'll do this and this and this and this and this will occur. You know what they do? They create some type of a scenario, do a vision, do a play out, do some type of a thought or something, or they go to a person like me, they throw the dirt, I make something into lemonade, they take the credit for that. What is the need of that? There's no need of that. Instead, you could just simply be the answers and grow what is true and continue to grow what is true. And that is what is the need. You see a flower, you water the flower. You think the flower has vitamin deficiency, you know what you do? You research the flower, what the flower is, and then you add a little bit of vitamins there if you want to. Or you maybe throw a fruit, you know, thing in there, and that also is the water deficiency. And somebody, while I said food something, somebody said kalep in my language. Who the heck was that? Why they say that? They're trying to distort the story, tell me what to say possibly? Usually every time I mention it, I notice this, I mention everything that I notice in terms of words, visions, anything. Somebody knows that I've mentioned this before, this example, and so they possibly use that example in the moment of time of something that occurs. The person being true doesn't have to take credit for anything. The person being true, they'll only add on to what is true because I care about maintaining. Excuse me. I care about preserving. Same thing with the word maintaining. Preserving what is true. I want to preserve what is true. Why? Because me preserving what is true, then the truth will be manifested and it will occur. The truth will be how something is supposed to be, not an infection that some people try to turn this beautiful water into a poison. I preserve the water. I don't want to poison anybody or anything. That's not normal. That's abnormal. Has nothing to do with understanding. That's a misunderstanding. So the entire understanding, the entire point, the entire notion, the entire idea, the entire thought, the entire entirety of entireties of everything pinpoints people to the direction of understanding and to the path of attaining knowledge and being true. So the entire understanding leads people to the path of being true and attaining true knowledge. Okay? With true knowledge, people are able to make correct choices and decisions in all elements of reality. So, an element is anything that people do in terms of whatever they may be doing. It doesn't matter where they are, what scenario they're in, wherever they may be, doesn't matter. all elements of reality. See, this is another thing what's going on. People know while any given element I can make a correct choice decision. Yet some people are doing something in the past, a scenario, for me to make the most correct choice decision in any given element. And some people use that similar to an opportunity to get their weird narrative going for me to be nice, and then they could win that particular style, and being wrong. So the correct choice decision in terms of what occurred earlier had to do with me doing what I did. Because somebody's not giving their purpose, somebody's not telling their purpose of what they're trying to do. You have to tell your purpose. My purpose is I'm true, I'm true intentions, I'm everything to do with true. And everybody, that shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, to be honest with you. My purpose is me being true, everything to do with truth, my intentions being good, my intentions being pure, and me being able to move forward correctly and make correct choices and decisions generally. The problem is I'm taking on too many different types of roles I'm understanding, and people are picking and choosing that, claiming that I'm wrong. So a lot of times I'm fitting in the middle of things, and people think that that's me. One thing, good idea for people to understand realistically what the truth is. That I'm doing them a favor to still make the correct choice decision. Another thing is to make a blind choice, blind decision, and make me believe that I'm wrong, and make another wrong choice, wrong decisions on me that has nothing to do with reality. So, that has to be distinguished in terms of what that may be, because something or someone may say something that has nothing to do with what reality is realistically, and it may not make sense realistically what reality is either. So, all elements of reality equals anything anybody's doing generally. What is the most truth? What is the most absolute answer? I'll give you an example. You're driving, you're going somewhere. The absolute answer is for you to drive on the speed limit, what the speed limit is. Of course, with traffic conditions and everything else, and to obey all traffic laws. So the answer is to drive on the speed limit, to wear your seatbelt, to adjust your rearview mirrors. You know what? I'm going to say that differently. The correct element is for you to get in the car, adjust every single thing to do with your seat, your mirrors, your rearview mirrors, your wheel, everything to be the most comfortable you can possible. That's the answer. That's the absolute answer. You go in the car, you're the most correct in terms of sitting in your car, adjusting your seat, adjusting your rearview mirror, adjusting your side mirrors, putting on your seatbelt, adjusting your wheel, anything so you could be the most comfortable as possible. And I'm saying comfortable. I'm not using the M word. And of course, being the most comfortable possible, you're also wanting to be aware, be the most aware possible, so then you could, be able to rationalize correctly and think correctly and be able to move around where you want to go from point A to point B to point C to point D to point E to point F to point G, etc. So that's the first step. Now, if you want to backtrack, the backtrack of whatever the person was doing before, also, whatever element people are doing, whatever they may be doing, what is the most correct? What is the most true for something to be a function, for something to be a flow, for something to be a unison of something? And so that's the answer. So then the secondary option is, of course, the person obeying the traffic lights traffic conditions, their street signs, and even incorporating what they believe is the most correct or true in terms of something that is better than what they think is or could be better. So if somebody doesn't agree with a stop sign, that equals them still stopping on the stop sign, doing following the laws. And if you don't agree with the stop sign, what you can do is then you can go somewhere, go to a particular place, and complain about something and say, "Hey, I don't like the stop sign. Here are the reasons: A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z, and beyond. And here's what we need to do because this is better. And here are the reasons why this is better, and this is what we can be doing." And then the person and somebody else will be able to make a correct choice and decision in terms of saying, okay, you know what? Yeah, you have a good point. Let's incorporate that. Let's do that. With this story said, this is exactly what I want to do. And not only this, however, everything else to do with what is true. Yet, some people, some groups in people's lives embedded themselves in my life and in other people's lives and didn't allow me to do what was needed for me to do, what was the correct thing for me to do. In other words, people play politics with my life and with somebody else's life. Different groups, different politics, different scenarios. And claiming, "Oh, look, we won. We stopped the person from doing what was true for him to do." In other words, something went against something and claimed that they were correct. Well, does that make the person correct in terms of stopping me from doing what was a need, a fulfillment for me to do something? No, that makes the person wrong. Those groups are wrong. You know what wrong is? They should go on Google.com and read the definition of the word wrong. Okay? Wrong. They should know. I can tell them what the word wrong is. However, they should go on Google and they should know what the word wrong is. Because if they don't, then that's a lie excuse to do something and then to say, hey, you know what? We're correct. And no one, will take them seriously. Yet enough of these people doing what is wrong, you know, causing some type of issue or whatever anything is, may make them believe or think for even a second that they're somehow correct. I don't believe these groups. They know I don't believe them. I don't trust them either. They lost my trust, not because I don't want to trust them, because they haven't proven to me to be trusted. They're still going off of the little minimum, those particular groups. They still got that little minimum thing going. They cannot be trusted, those groups. I just read that. Good point. So, some groups are still giving me minimum. Think I'm fooled. Think I'm duped. I'm not duped. They're less than the answer. Somebody that is wrong wants something or someone to be most true while they can still be wrong. Somebody wants somebody to pick up their mess so they can throw a mess. Similar, different, possibly. Okay? Somebody wants to dupe me. They want to tell me, like, hey, you know, you be the most truth, I be least truth, and that's what makes sense to us. 1 + 25 equals 2 for us. Does 1 + 25 equals 2? No. Last time I checked, 1 + 25 is 2. Here, I'm going to Google this. I don't know the answer to 1 + 25. Let's see here. 1 + 25 equals. Oh, 1 + 25 equals 26. 1 + 25 equals 26 still. 1 + 25 equals 26. Doesn't equal 2. Yet some people in their minds, they want to still be less than of what is true. They want to dupe me, want to fool me, want to convince me that 1 + 25 equals 2. They want to claim that, with $1,000, with $10,000, we can buy a Lamborghini. Even if I could, I wouldn't. Okay? That's their low standard of not valuing something. The way something can be valued correctly. So last time I checked, 1 + 25 equals 26. Doesn't equal 27, doesn't equal 28, doesn't equal 29, doesn't equal 30, doesn't equal 31, doesn't equal 24 either. Some people may say 1 + 25 equals 24. Not with numbers. I'm talking about with words, with sentences, with understandings, with everything. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't add on. Yet some people psychologically try to then flip the script on me and claim that I'm not making sense. Okay, fine. I'm not making sense. 1 + 1 to me equals 25. What element? And does that make sense? For me, it does. In terms of what I understood to be true, in terms of what I believe to be true, in terms of me being true, all pinpointed to the direction of something being correct and true. That, I'm not panicky, I'm not jittery. That some people wanted me to be. Ooh. Hence why some people created duping, lying, convincing, manipulating, distorting, psychologically abusing, forcing, uh, sleep deprivation, introducing scenarios, and all this type of stuff. You know, they wanted me to believe their lies. They wanted me to partake in the lies so then they can create the lies. Well, I didn't partake in the lies. I wasn't part of the lies, and lies were not created. If they created some type of lies, knowing the facts that I was being true, well, seems though that's a lie of what occurred, so people can distort and change the story. Will lies be counted? No. How can lies be counted? How can something or someone count lies on my behalf or on somebody's behalf and claim that they're correct? They're not correct. Just because I didn't fit in their image doesn't make me wrong. The person being true doesn't have to prove that they're innocent. And a wide variety of other elements that if some people want to realistically argue with me, they would realistically argue with me. They wouldn't be, doing this back and forth thing if they realistically want to know the answers. Seems though some people are playing politics, they don't want to know the answers because they rather play a belief game. They rather play a belief game of what is true. The only problem is there is no belief game of what is true. How can you believe something that is false? How can you create something that is false? And how can you make people believe what is false to then manipulate them and distort them? Hence, anybody with a belief, anybody with any form of thing that has nothing to do with true reality, all have to, and that equals heaven on earth, true reality, and that equals anybody, whomever you may be, that thinks in some type of belief that you believe to be true, and somebody's making you believe something to do with that is quote unquote true to make you believe and think that a lie is true, that's a crime of what is occurring. No one is supposed to make you believe something that is false, you know? And you cannot pick and choose people's segments and say, oh, look, the person said this, we can use this. Da, 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 da. No, no, no. I'm talking about the totality of everything. Some people operate based on picking and choosing, and that doesn't flatter me very well either. Far from the truth of what the truth really is. You can't pick and choose something. There's a book. Everybody has one. Wouldn't you want to get a copy of your book? Wouldn't you want to create your book so somebody can read your book and not pick and choose something and say, hey, look, this is what this person said this moment of time. He forgot to mention this. He didn't say everything because the person simultaneously cannot mention everything at once. So we can generally be correct on this particular aspect, and we can make people believe and fool them and dupe them and make them think all this type of stuff. And we can get away with this too. If we're psychologically manipulative and we're liars and we're harm causers and I've made myself think like these people. That's how they think. That's how these people are thinking. To know what they're thinking. However, I don't think like them, of course. That's what they're thinking, and that's what their motive is, and that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make me and somebody else believe some type of lie that has nothing to do with reality. You know? Should I believe their lies? Do their lies have anything to do with what the truth is? Or no? Anything to do with lies has nothing to do with the truth. The person cannot be believing and the person cannot be making or forcing somebody to believe the lies. Everybody, hence anybody with any form of nonsense belief, whatever belief they are, they're supposed to be getting out of this belief. They're supposed to be getting out of the belief, and they're supposed to be getting out of the lie that they believe to be true. So those people can make correct choices and decisions. No one's supposed to make people believe anything that is false. So all those people that are brainwashing people to make them believe a bunch of lies, to then justify or redeem themselves, and making other people believe the lies too, sophisticatedly manipulating people possibly, mixing people possibly also occurred, mixing, sophisticated, tampering with people, making them go tell lies so they could be blamed on, you know. Where's that stemming from? All that may be stemming from either technology or something else or somewhere else. That has nothing to do with reality. So anybody with a belief that is false should not be believing, needs to get out of that belief because that belief has nothing to do with true reality. No one can be making people believe anything, no one can be forcing people to believe anything, and no one should be believing anything that is false. That's a form of de evolution. So, at this moment of time, in terms of every time I mention something, I know immediate changes are occurring. While people are doing opposite things and so on and so forth. Who's doing the opposite thing? Wrong is the wrong. Why are you doing that? Is that just of what you're doing? Instead of growing the answers, instead of multiplying the answers, instead of being the answers, for the answers to be manifested, somebody's saying, oh, well, we can do this, we can do this, we can do that, let's do this, let's do this, let's do that. Well, you shouldn't be. That should be stopped. And the reason I mentioned this is because somebody possibly wants to sweep something under the rug, wants to mask something, or wants to bandage something. And people may say, oh, why are you mentioning that? If you didn't mention that, we wouldn't know that. Well, I know. Do I do something nonsense? No, I don't. What's the difference between you knowing something and being aware of something that is correct to be aware of something? So you will refrain from doing something wrong. Who are the arguers saying, oh, well, if I didn't know, I wouldn't do? Well, you know. Why would you do? Aren't you true? Well, if you're not true, the point is to be true. Everything, no matter what you look at in the entire face of this earth, pinpoints people to literally the entire understanding, the entire point of everything leads people to the path of being true and attaining true knowledge. That is realistically what everything is going on. While some people are trying to make people believe otherwise, saying, oh, no, I think this, therefore I do this, I understand this, I believe this. Okay, fair. Whatever you understand is what you understand true. Whatever you think is what you think true. Whatever you believe is what you believe true. Are these things true of whatever anything or anyone is doing? You know what? No. Therefore, why are you doing something that is false? You know what else is fascinating to me and funny to me? Some groups, they're doing different playouts and they're doing different types of convincing or whatever they're doing, or their idea or their thought or their perception about something or someone is, wow, you have this talent and you're not doing something similar to this or similar to something else. Why am I not doing something that I love doing? They're making it seem that I'm wrong. While they're having a wrong effect and wrong influence every single day, stopping something or someone doing something. There's a flower. You mess with the flower is not blooming. Are you supposed to get mad at the flower? That's what people are doing. They're going against the flower, then they're getting mad at the flower. Let alone they're getting mad at the flower. They caused issues on the flower. This wasn't supposed to happen, never was supposed to occur. Then they want to dupe me and convince me that the flower's fault. The audacity of these quote unquote blanks. They don't flatter me very well, to be honest with you. They stopped something that was an ocean, that was a need, while they were aware. Or could have been aware and should have been aware. And claim that somehow I'm wrong or somebody else is wrong. Well, aren't they wrong for not leaving somebody alone, especially when they knew that, hey, we're wrong. We knew this, we knew that, we knew this and that, we could have knew this and that. We turned a blind eye. Well, look, remember, some people are examples and tests of this. And some people don't know what the person is. Because maybe 9 out of 10 times or a high ratio, those people are not being true to then understand the person of who they are and what they did. The person feels though, hey, you know what? I know this. I'm not going to say this to this particular specific person because the person may make wrong choices and blind decisions on me versus this person that does understand. I could tell him and he'll make a correct choice decision on me. Some people are sneaky. They do playouts, fix nonsense. They see that I'm understanding. Then they compare me to somebody else, and somebody doesn't put up with something I do. And I stopped putting up with their nonsense too, because then they're gonna say, okay, this person's correct, that person's wrong. Let's try to cause issues on that person, or let's do something wrong on that person. So I stopped, even though I understand past these playouts or these people, I stopped being nice to them. I call them viruses every single time, no matter what. I'm going to be continuously calling anybody that's a harm act on me unless something else is going on. I'm going to mention something else, and I'm still going to call them viruses. So they won't say somebody else is wrong. They say, oh, you're correct, they're wrong, we can cause issues on them. No, I'm correct, the other person's correct, and you're wrong. You're wrong for in that particular element, you decide to cause some type of nonsense issue on something or somebody. Unjustly doing so. People want me to, fit in their narrative. The other person wants me to fit in their narrative. The other group wants me to fit in theirs too. The person watching this wants me to fit in their narrative also. Yet, I'm not fitting in that person's narrative, that person's narrative, that person's narrative, this person's narrative, because I'm telling them, you guys are all wrong. In those specific elements, you guys are all wrong. Why fit in your narratives if your narratives are false? If your narratives were true and had to do with true reality and heaven on earth, I'd say, you know what? Fine. I'm wrong. I'm going to fit in your narratives because I'm wrong. I'm going to change myself. I'm going to correct myself because I'm wrong. And I'm going to fit in that person's narrative, this person's narrative, and that person's narrative. And that person's narrative too. You're correct, you're correct. You're wrong, you're wrong. How can you be both? If there's a both, then there's some type of either mix sophisticated thing that will unravel and will be solved, or the person simply is misusing the word choice and choosing to be ignorant. Remember, they say ignorance is bliss? No, that's false. Somebody's making you believe something that is false. Somebody made you think and believe something that is false. Nothing to do with reality. So, why would you believe something that is false? It has nothing to do with reality. Ignorance is bliss. Not only do you believe the lies, you go around with that mentality, with that condition, with that brainwashing, but nonsense belief has nothing to do with belief. You're giving a belief, the pure word belief, a nonsense name, has to be established, has to be distinguished. The word belief is supposed to remain the word belief, pure word, not infected word. Same thing with every single other word too. The person goes around with their belief. They go around with their belief. They partake in lies. They create lies. Corruption of creation, manifestation of reality. Pave way for lies to occur. Infect other people in the process. Take something backward direction. More difficult to change. More difficult to fix. And something or someone is limited, is stuck, can't realize, can't function, can't think correctly, thinks they have a personal. While the phenomena may be occurring, multitude of things on one particular element, and thousands and thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands wrong choices, wrong decisions people are making every day. Think about every form of thing that's occurring in that particular, minute, hour, day, and think about how everybody can fix that, and yet some people turn a blind eye. And ignorance is bliss. They believe that lie. Ignorance being bliss is false. Nothing to do with reality. Why are you entertaining and dwelling and partaking and creating something that is false? There's a lot of people everywhere that are saying, look at all the problems of the world. Let's outweigh either all the problems, or let's see all the things that we can do to take away all these problems, and so that we can have reality. We can be part of this reality. We can either allow all these problems to affect us and to deter us, and we can use lie excuses for all these problems, or we can do something about this, and we can think, we can rationalize, we can do what we can do. Even if we can't do anything, we shouldn't be adding on to more problems. And doing so, all these problems will go away. The second will go away, the minute will go away, the hour will go away, the day will go away, the week will go away, the month will go away, the year will go away, the years will go away, of the enormous problems that people will be facing in this moment of time. And there was a virus I just heard, the virus, do. You know what they're really trying to do? They're trying to make people get heart attacks, and they're trying to make people get stressed. Should these viruses be floating around? No, these viruses should not be floating around. They should be out of the picture. Bye bye. Bye bye. Those viruses, bye bye. Okay? That's what I've been saying from day one until today. The person's aware, cannot control themselves. The group is aware, they can't control themselves. That's no one's job except their own. They gotta get out of reality. And then when they control themselves, then they can be part of this reality. When they change themselves, when they go about their doing of being true and attaining knowledge, then people can all agree, everybody can agree that, hey, you know what, now it's time for this person to be in this picture, in this reality. Because the person now can control themselves. The person is not dangerous. The person is not out of control. The person is not causing harm. You know how many times that virus nose was made? You know how many times that virus sound caused issues. That's already established. There's going to be no other thought that's born because of that. To me, that nonsense bust. He's a virus. She's a virus, whoever that was. And they're having a detrimental effect. They're having a harmful, wrong, unjust effect. Should we? Their excuse is, oh well, if we didn't do that, we wouldn't know this. Well, I've said this over and over and over again, and now you do. Plus, I've also said, if you want to do something in terms of similar without the harm, because something harmful should not be occurring, then you can. However, if something is going to be harmful and cause a problem, then should you be able to do something? If you can also understand something correctly and not be able to do? Already, this has been established already. This is nothing new. In their minds, they think they're correct. In their minds, they think those people think that they're like, oh well, we're in need. You're in need to I don't know whom. You're not in need to me. You will never be in need to me, to be honest with you. Never. I will never need you. Because people are going to be knowledgeable and attain knowledge. They're going to be smart. They're going to be true. So I don't need the harm causer in my life. No one needs the harm causer in my life. They're harmful. They're having a very, very wrong effect. And here I am talking about a virus story now. Ignorance is neither a bliss nor is ignorance part of true reality, and ignorance is the problem. Being ignorant is the problem. You cannot be ignorant. Yet some people are ignorant. That's an issue. There's thousands and millions and hundreds. There's over 1,000 hours and more. There's I can't even give you the correct number, the correct estimate of this. There's hundreds and thousands and millions and billions of hours of work that needs to be done. Can that be done? Well, everything else can be done. What makes people believe that that can't be done? Also, in this moment of time, while I'm explaining something, you know what else is going on? A buzzer is buzzing around and causing issues at the moment of time, having a wrong effect again. Well, we have to do something to understand how the person is affected. Well, guess what? You're not going to ever know how I'm affected wrongly. You're not supposed to do something harmful to know how somebody's affected. These groups, I don't trust them. They shouldn't be floating around for me. Why? Because they're harmful. Their little tiny noise makes a huge difference. Why? Because the entire time they caused a bunch of issues loudly, and then they're causing issues less loudly, and then less loud, and it's having the same effect. Having the same effect. Nothing is getting better. People only getting illusions that things are getting better. I'm not fooled. I'm not duped. Who else is not fooled? Who else is not duped? These viruses shouldn't be floating around. They're harmful. The person makes a noise 6 in the morning, says, oh, okay, I'll just adjust my time to 1 p.m. Well, the person now wakes up at 1 p.m. The 1 p.m. is 6 in the morning for them. What kind of, mentality are these people on? What type of drugs are these people on? Who's allowing them to do this? I know I'm not. I don't trust these groups. They're the problem of the entire matter from a long time ago till today. I'm just saying, generally, may not be that particular person, may not be that particular whatever anything is, or may in fact be that particular person, maybe in fact that particular also too. They're harmful. The story is the same. They're harmful people. They're harmful groups. They're harmful individuals, and I don't trust them. I'm not with them. I've never trusted them. I was never with them unless those groups were true and they had a correct impact on somebody's life, and something was with uprightness, where somebody or something doesn't understand something, something is uprightness and something works, and so on and so forth. A different story. If they're trying to take my credit and me being true and me being uprighted, 0% true. They get the heck out of my life. They're not responsible for anything. Every form of damage that I'm feeling, I'm sensing, and every form of damage that there is on the face of this earth, these viruses may be responsible. I don't regret a word I say about them. They're nobody to me, to be honest with you. Not because I'm with them, because I don't fear them. Truth has nothing to fear. I have nothing to fear. They're viruses. Remember that. People say, "Oh, you're with them. That's why you're talking the way you're talking." I've mentioned that a long time ago. Where were you? You know. Fortunately, the book is still there, and I don't forget either. There's over 100+ hours of my recording that's missing, and I have to receive that back. I know I will. Just because I don't doesn't change the fact of the matter that that is known, and the truth is known, and the truth will be known, and everything will be manifested according to what is true. I know what some people are doing. They're trying to retain all the information so they can create a reality. Well, guess what? Nothing will work. Everything will fail unless you're true. When you understand reality, you understand reality in these little tiny things that you guys are seeing now. These little cellular things that are occurring. Oh yeah, that's how I understood reality. If you're not the truth, it won't work. Will fail. I don't care what you do, you will fail. Nothing will be the same. Everything will be off. There will be problems, and especially without me in the picture and without many other people in the picture, everything will fail. And those groups are saying, "Oh well, if you want something to fail, we know what to do." Technology controlling their mentalities and their bodies is what that equals to. You just need several nonsenses like that to think some type of a nonsense, to an attempt to try to entertain and dwell in nonsense, then try to create some type of nonsense. That's the entire problem of the entire matter. I'm sure somewhere along the line, this is what occurred. Something similar to this, of some type of a virus that thought that similar way, possibly occurred. Better for me to mention than to sweep under the rug. If somebody disagrees, you know what? I don't think you understand everything correctly, to be honest with you. Some people, what they're trying to do is they're trying to understand how people are making choices and decisions. They want to see how they're thinking, you know? Well, they're also being watched and observed, and they're also being known in how they're thinking and how what they're doing. They want to copy everything. They want to see how everything is. However, do I trust those groups? Do I trust those people? Depends on whom. If something is true reality in heaven on earth, I do. If something is less than, then there's a red flag. The good news is everybody will fail. Everybody, everything will fail. That's the good news. You know why that is the good news? Because for long you are not true and you don't go in the flow and the unison of reality, you will be doomed to fail. Think about the power of heaven on earth. Think about the power of true reality, how powerful true reality in heaven is. That unless you are true and change to be true, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to change and be true. That if you are not realistically the power of heaven on earth and true reality, you will fail because you're going against true reality. You will be going against heaven on earth. You will be going against the fundamental principle of the fabric of the universe. No one has this code anywhere. This is just a level of understanding, the insight that somebody has, that I'm telling you from the overall perspective of the earth, of what the earth realistically is, if you understand everything correctly. If you don't understand everything correctly, then you will not understand what I just said. What a miracle. What a miraculous thing. The fact that you will fail if you are not true. The fact that if you're not heaven on earth and you have the potential to be, and everybody has the potential to be heaven on earth. In other words, if you're a harm causer, if you're dangerous, depending on the level of danger that you are to the reality will stop you naturally from being a harm to the reality. You know what a miraculous entity, what a miraculous vessel that this blue planet is. That is keeping everything and everyone alive. That is literally told every single being, hey, you know what? Change, be aware, understand, partake in the basic principles, visions, thoughts, words, doings, food, partaking, supporting, choosing, needing, wanting, buying, selling, entertaining, dwelling on, creating, all has to do with truth. You go to a to a store, buy the healthy food instead of the junk food. The meat is not labeled where something is technology or natural passing. Refrain from buying the meat. That's how the true reality gets created. Oh no, we don't know. We don't know. Oh, we can do this. We can do this. We can do this. We can know. We're aware. We can know. We choose to be ignorant. We choose to turn a blind eye. Misuse of choice, paving way for nonsense to occur. We're more wrong than this person in all elements of reality, and we want to dictate him. We want to control him. We want to judge him. Hey, you know what? At least get on my level, and then be able to criticize, be able to judge me. And I say, you know what? Let me listen to this person. This person may have something to say that I may think is significant or relevant to me. Otherwise, somebody's talking to me is like one ear to the other. I'm like, huh, good for me. That's how the planet feels too. I'm similar to the planet. I'm nothing less than the planet. The mixing the sophisticated form of predicaments and and everything is exactly how possibly the planet feels too. And that's how I feel too. So I resonate with the planet. I feel similar to the planet, how the planet feels. That makes me feel good. Knowing I'm the planet, I never feel alone. Everything to do with the planet, everything to do with truth is me. Everything to do with the planet, anything to do with something that is less than what is true or false, nothing to do with me. You may say, oh, well, look, the planet, there's all this. Why? Well, look at the mix of the planet. Look at all the dysfunction, all the mix. Could it be the corruption of creation of many things that also created these many weird things in reality? Yeah, that's exactly what happened. The planet was the original self and taken care of. What issue is there? There's no issue. What issue is there when there is no issue? Somebody did put the programming on me at the moment of time. There is no issue, I said at one point of time. People create issues. Should people be able to create issues? Should people be able to create issues? Think about that. Is that normal? Anything that's abnormal has to change. No, that's abnormal. How can you create a problem? How can you create an issue? How can you add on to an issue? That's a corruption of creation. The person that equals is lacking knowledge, doesn't know who they are, and is creating some type of an issue. Lack of knowledge. That equals the person is lacking knowledge. That's all that equals to. The person has knowledge, the person will refrain from creating something to do with corruption or creating a problem. Why? Because the person understands that that is far from the answer, has nothing to do with the answer. So why would the person then want to create a problem? This is why I mentioned that every form of dysfunction upon the face of this earth, everything realistically, all has to change. All has to change and be true in terms of what the truth is. Otherwise, what's the point? Live a pointless life. Why? Remember, anything to do with lies on my behalf, people may say, oh, look, we did this the opposite. That's why this happened. Everything is false. Don't believe that. Everything is false. Don't believe any form of nonsense, any form of opposite that people make people believe that this I was responsible for this supposedly. Don't believe anything like that. Even though that may be true specifically for specific elements, generally that is all false. Specifically, specific people, specific elements may be correct. Everything else is false. Don't believe that. Okay? Don't believe that. So don't believe the lies. That's also what that signified too, in a moment of time. So, what does this equal to? This equals to everything and everyone changing all the corruption and all the problems that they've created with understanding the entirety of the truth, and doing so, so everything else in terms of the truth being able to be manifested. People may say, oh, well, this person is more deserving than this person. Yeah, you know what? From my understanding of everything that was going on, that is true. There's one person that is more deserving than the other. However, that doesn't change the fact that everything needs to be changed to what the truth is. And the point would be the undeserving person, how to be more deserving. Okay? How to be more deserving. You know what some people did? They attempted to, you know how I don't judge a book with the cover? I don't. However, some people knew that that was true and tried to play politics with people that did judge them with a cover, because even though you can't judge a book with a cover, you still can't judge a book with the cover. You know, that's just a net. Don't get the story twisted, because some people try to judge. The target was women. If anybody's not aware, here, be aware. The target was women, to manipulate women literally, to be able to claim that they're wrong, to be able to use them and go against them. Women were targets for them to judge and be misjudged, for people to go against them. Hence, some people said, don't judge a book with the cover. Yeah, even though that's relatively true, some people then obviously play politics with that in terms of something being false and true, and they judge a book with the cover. You know, you look at people today and you wonder why they're not here today. You know, didn't they deserve to live like everybody else? I'll tell you why. All these dysfunctions, all this phenomena, all of everything that's occurring, not enabling me to do what I need to do, is all because of what's going on. Because too many nonsensers. To be honest with you, me doing this is a forceful doing, and me doing this is damaging myself. Nothing's supposed to get to this point. Nothing was supposed to get to the first point to yet alone go to the second point to yet alone go to the third point. So why did this occur? With people knowing my information. Who allowed this to be? Taking on the challenge, not doing something correctly. Hopefully something is understood correctly so everything can then change according to what is the most true. Otherwise, people throwing all that stuff underwater, everything they've done, is how some people are making people lose. Also, you know what else I noticed? Somebody continuing some type of a wrong path, continuing in some type of a wrong path, also affecting me to continue, and there's some type of a wrong math going on. So have people figured that one out in terms of what that is? Somebody wrong continuing, somebody truth continuing, somebody truth continuing is correct. Somebody wrong continuing is living off of truth similar to a vacuum, possibly. The vacuum. Is what may be occurring. So what is that vacuum, you know? That is occurring. And how can that vacuum be stopped? People think I'm a robot, you know? No, I'm not a robot, remember. I used robots though. Some people are ugly. Not their looks. Their behavior is ugly, you know, their thinking is ugly. Their words are ugly. They take the easy way, you know? They don't understand the person putting their sweat and their hard work into something. They want to disregard that, you know? They want to disregard that, make themselves seem that they're correct. Cheat, lie, dupe, fool, pass lies for truth, and want to control people. That doesn't work. I didn't buy that. Those who did, don't worry. That's not your problem. That's not your fault. You were a victim. Those people were only victims. That's all that implies to. So, is that their fault? No, that's not their fault. It has nothing to do with them. Matter of fact, they need to be healed and guided and protected from those wrongdoers. So, while everything is true, I know what some people did. They tried to fool me or condition me in terms of winning through lying and deceiving. You know, some people try to overwhelm me so that I could talk about their story and so they could win with that particular style. You know what? I did talk about their story. You know what? I also gave answers to what the truth was and what the truth isn't. And you know what? People weren't duped. People didn't believe the lies, they believed the truth. Those groups played a game on themselves. They fooled themselves. They didn't fool me. The problem is they had a wrong effect. They played a game, they had a wrong effect, and they caused damages with the wrong effects of whatever they did. So, you know, them being held responsible for that type of nonsense not to occur is also the answer that pinpoints for what is going to be occurring and what it realistically did occur. So, you know, whatever the puzzle is of everything is what needs to be. Before the puzzle of everything, there shouldn't be any form of tampering, there shouldn't be any form of mixing, there shouldn't be any form of forbidden elements, there shouldn't be any form of lie reactions, lie opinions, there shouldn't be any form of dirty game playing, there shouldn't be any form of dysfunction. And that is the counterbalance of that. Because that occurs, so therefore that has to be for that everything else to be. That's the correct math. What do people think I don't understand? Because I understand more than all of them together, to be honest with you. However, that doesn't make me better than them. That just equals that everybody has to change and be true. And better late than never is for sure. In terms of not at all. So, what people need to start doing is they need to start making much more sense than they've ever done before in their entire life. That's what will work. And how are they going to make sense? Well, they have to. Nobody has to go to the same test as I did. Don't do this. I don't go through the same test as I did. These tests that I went through were forced against my will. There was nonsense tests that occurred that I don't suggest anybody going through. Versus tests that with everything. Like, remember, everything that occurred, from my understanding, was with a purpose, and the purpose got better and better and better. While nonsense just put themselves in the midst and try to go against the purpose. They try to bash, try to look for reasons why something didn't work. Instead of looking for reasons to be true and correct, they don't like something. You don't like something, correct something. Don't bash something. So I I didn't agree with those groups. Those groups, I knew they were up to something. Yet they try to do everything on me of me not getting my particular quote unquote way. So I could side with these groups. I'd rather spit on myself than side with these disgusting groups, to be honest with you. If you really want to know the truth. Excuse my language, however, I have to, explain what the truth is. I'd rather spit on myself than join with these groups. Because I don't trust these groups. I don't, they're not me. They're not a part of me. They don't flatter me very well. No one's duped. You know, I'm not gonna join them. They did everything to make me join their nonsense group. Irrelevant what they did, realistically. Did I join their nonsense group? No. Even if I join their nonsense groups, would that be forced? Would that be some type of force similar to I don't like to eat meat. I don't want to eat meat. Will I eat meat if I'm forced to eat meat? There's nothing else. Yeah. However, what's the point of that? There's no point of that. There's nothing there. It's empty. No one's supposed to be forced to join anything or anyone. Unless you have no other options, available, well, you join those nonsense groups. Well, guess what? No one's supposed to have no options available to join those nonsense groups. Everybody's supposed to have infinite options always. Always have infinite options to never join those nonsense groups. Could be at the end of the world. Let's presume that will never happen either. You still must have options to never join these nonsense groups. These nonsense groups are on their own. Matter of fact, if they want anything to ever work out for them, guess who they're gonna join? I'm not gonna join them. They're gonna change, be truth, prove themselves, go through a lot of processes. Then they can join truth, and they maybe join truth. And all will matter upon who they are and what they do in terms of realistically joining truth. You can't just join truth. You have to be truth. You have to be the understanding. You have to be the answer to realistically join the truth. Otherwise, everything else is false of whatever they're doing versus what some people are doing. So I would suggest, and I am suggesting, whenever I said I would, I am. And the reason for this is because of everything that ever occurred. If everything didn't occur on me, then I understand people saying, oh, you know what, that makes sense. However, whatever people did, they literally handicap people. So they say, oh, well, we're not going to count this. They may play a different role and say, oh, well, we did this, and therefore we did this. However, whatever they did didn't go unnoticed, whatever they did. They played a game on themselves. One of those of what that was about. Those groups played a game on themselves. That's what occurred. While they were trying to fool everybody else that they were quote unquote correct. They're not correct. Nothing makes them correct. What they did was wrong. They can't even say that they're correct in terms of what they did because of what they did was wrong. So noticing whatever winning some people have, they're attempting to try to make me or somebody else believe some type of a thing to do with lies. Also, something hasn't finished either. So some people, if something is beneficial for them or whatever is going on, they may say, "Oh, look, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this." However, they can't do any of that because nothing, whatever they do, has anything to do with what the truth is. So they're just wasting. They're misspending my time. They're misspending somebody else's time of what realistically is occurring. And they're working off with selling ideas to people and claim, "Oh, look, wasn't this the most correct?" Well, obviously. However, do you understand the story of everything that ever occurred, or you can disregard the elements? Isn't that the entire point from the beginning? To include the elements of what the elements are, so people can then be able to use correct choices, decisions. Not use, utilize, be able to be the correct choice decisions and whatever they're doing. Because the reason I corrected myself is because some people are playing with words. I don't play with words. No one should be playing with words. That's obviously not the answer. So so there's a correct thing of whatever's occurring in terms of what the truth is, and then there are a bunch of loser groups possibly that are trying to attempt to mess with something that has nothing to do with the truth of what they're doing. In other words, there's a purpose of everything, and the non-purpose is the violation. So you know what happens when people attempt to knowingly cause issues to people? Well, somebody might say, okay, well, we cause issues to people. We're gonna force him to do this. We're gonna force him to do this. We're gonna force him to do that. No, if you cause issues on me, you know what you're forcing me to do? You're forcing me to go back, to go back, to go back, to go back, to finish what I started, to finish what I started, to finish what I started, to then do that, that, and that, and that. Why? Because whatever people did was only a fabrication, a creation of what they could have stopped doing and should have not done, especially hearing what I had to say. This is ridiculous. This has to do with some type of a nonsense opposite that some people created. Nothing to do with reality. Somebody creates some. While everything is true, everything is good. People did a bunch of opposites of a lot of things to try and make me believe some type of weird phenomena is occurring, with the exception of some type of mix maybe that could have occurred, what people got accustomed to, what people thought was true. So that has to all be distinguished in terms of what that was, because somebody's claiming that okay, well, something to do with people saw results of what the answers were, something fit in their narrative, they put something automatically, and automatically is what occurred in terms of whatever they created. Automatically, some people were able to create some type of weird phenomena of whatever it is that they created. So, what is a true measurement? Well, the true measurement, I said again before, people say, "Oh, well, you've been through these scenarios, and we've done all this to you, and so on and so forth." What is the correct thing for me? Well, I've been wrong. I've been very wrong. I shouldn't have to go through this type of nonsense, especially on top of everything else that I've ever mentioned, everything else that I've ever done. with me receiving what I need to receive in terms of something being true, truth paved way for something correct to be, for everybody to be true, for everything true to be. I deserve many good deeds, and not only me, however, everybody that is true realistically deserves everything true. Is that just? Is that fair? Of course. With that being just, with that being fair, everything will be changed according to what is truth in terms of people being true, leading with example, and everything working out correctly in terms of people wanting to be true, people being true, not for show, however, for understanding, because they will understand too that if they're true, they'll receive rewards, they'll receive something else, and everything in terms of everything being with realistically being true, not with anything false. People have done that in terms of being false, and they've received a lot of illusions, from my understanding too. So so the entire, you see how I have to explain all of this for people to then understand something else. If I go straight to the point, something may not be understood correctly, to be honest with you. To some people that may be true, to somebody else that may be true and may be false, to somebody else what I'm doing is more correct in terms of explaining something so something else can be understood also. I generally am a type of person where I go from one thing. But yeah, and remember this, in terms of a person like me, I could say one word and that one word could be thousands of words. Just to get the story correct, I don't have to give all this much to receive something in terms of what some people are doing. In their minds, they think, I give all this, then they do some type of minimum thing. So realistically, what needs to occur is the opposite may be true in terms of I say one word and somebody doesn't give the minimum, gives what is a puzzle, and then something else and something else. And that is what the truth is. This is just a reminder. So the entire understanding leads people to the path of being true and attaining knowledge. And so we know why I mentioned this also again is because usually if I'm not being disturbed, not being bothered with 10,000 different stories, what I do is I focus on something and I continue on something and I continue on something and I finish something. The reason many works have been undone is because too much tampering, too much different stories, and too much everything else has been going on for so long. So there's some type of a sophisticated form of tampering occurring or something is occurring in this moment of time, and it feels weird. People may say, "Oh, well, the person keeps doing that, so it's stemming from him." It's not stemming from me. I know myself very well. It has nothing to do with me. And so whoever that is needs to be out of power because they're having a wrong effect in that particular element. You may say, "Oh, well, if we don't do that, the person doesn't know. He won't say that." That just seems like an excuse. You don't have to do that for me to know something. You can just do something in terms of making sense instead of having to do something for me to say something and have a wrong effect. And I've mentioned this before. Somebody says, "Oh well, we have to do some type of wrong effect for something to change." No, the answer being applied once the answer is known, the answer being practiced once the answer is known, enables the change to be manifested. The answer is the person wearing the seatbelt. The answer is adjusting the rearview mirrors. The answer is sitting on your seat. The answer is driving on the speed limit. The answer is following all the speed signs and regulations and everything else. If you disagree with something, go and change something. Go and do something. That is generally what is true. Is there different types of approaches to all this type of doing and process? Of course. However, the most correct has to be. And if the most correct is not working, then you go to other options. The only problem is the most correct, once known, is supposed to be working. There's no other thing that once the answer is known is supposed to be applied. It's supposed to be practiced. It's supposed to be changed accordingly to what is true. If somebody says, "Oh well, I did this the most correct and this didn't work. Therefore, I went to this and I did this and I did this." Well, I don't know if people had knowledge, if they knew the story, if they understood everything, because now it's different from 5 minutes ago. 5 minutes ago is different from 10 minutes ago. 10 minutes ago is different from 20 minutes ago. 20 minutes is different from an hour ago. So change is continuously getting better and better. Don't bash. Grow something, fix something. You know something better, do something better. Don't do something worse. So people cannot win wrongly. People say, "Oh well, I'm gonna win." Okay. Everybody wants to win. That's good. Can you win cheating? Can you win wrongly? Can you win doing something harmful? No, you shouldn't be able to. I haven't been cheating. I haven't done anything wrongly. I'm not doing anything that's bad. People say, "Oh, you're cheating." I'm not cheating. Everything that happened to me in terms of the wrong influences, wrong effects, equaled to what everything equal to in terms of receiving the information. That's not called cheating. Cheating is when I do something wrong and there's some type of harm. If people didn't do what they did and I didn't do what I did, I'd say, "Okay, you know what? I'm wrong." Not wrong, wrong. However, a different definition of wrong in terms of me being less than what the truth was. However, everything that ever occurred pinpointed everything that ever people reflected back of what they saw from me. That is what the most truth was. I established that. That has to be established. That has to be understood. That is what the truth was. That's what occurred. That's what the truth was. Because people not knowing the story, they may say, "Oh well, this was true for me. This was true for me. Yeah, this was true for me. This was true for me. Yeah," and they forgot this element, why that was false. They forgot that element, why that was wrong. They forgot that element, why it didn't make sense. They forgot that element, why that was unjust. They forgot, there's many, many elements that they forgot to consider. For them, something was irrelevant. For me, was hold on a second. This is the true measurement. This is what is true in terms of what occurred, in terms of what I am. I'm not what you want me to be. I'm what I said I was, and you knew and you disregarded. Whose problem is that? Seems though a lot of people have personal issues, to be honest with you, okay? A lot of people have personal issues And they cannot accept the fact that they have personal issues, and they want to take their personal issues out on me. They want me to suffer because of them. And you know what? I've done a lot of suffering that I should have not suffered. Excuse me. I and many people suffered without any form of reason. There was no point. There was nothing there. People believed a bunch of lies. They partook in a bunch of lies. They made a lot of wrong choices, decisions on me. And realistically, I have an upper hand and I have a control over them. However, with me having an upper hand and control over them, I don't wish anything harmful. I just wish those people to change and continue the path of changing and using their power for the betterment. That's generally what that equals to. Will something be abundantly known in terms of what something may be that I may say or do something else? You know what? That's entertaining and dwelling in nonsense. People entertain and dwell in nonsense and they create problems. I don't do that. I don't entertain and dwell in nonsense. I bring this type of stuff to awareness. I mentioned that, hey, you know what? There's a lot of this going on. I bring that to awareness. I mentioned that. Why? Because I don't want something to be grown if something is false. I'm correct of what I'm doing. No one can say I'm wrong and cause issues on me and cause issues on somebody else that has to do with me. They don't understand the nature of reality, of how nature of reality is occurring or manifesting and transmuting itself. I'm talking about the nature of reality. I don't care about their dysfunction. That has nothing to do with my reality. It has nothing to do with reality. Why should I care about their dysfunction? I care about the dysfunction in terms of me solving their dysfunction. Hence, I create a formula for them. I did that favor for them too. However, I also did that for myself. I didn't just do that for them because I understood the phenomenon. How can they turn a blind eye with being aware of the entire time of their aware? Politics? I don't play politics. That was not political. People may say, oh, the person's wrong. Well, you know what? To be honest with you, me going through everything that I ever went through, even though some people, without aware of many, many elements, they may claim, they may say I'm wrong. However, with me understanding everything, I'm not wrong. People were wrong on me and they didn't allow me to do what I needed to do. And so hence I'm going back to doing what I'm going to do. And if I don't, and I have to finish what I'm doing. I'm going to continuously go back of myself, of what I'm doing, to make this correct. I have to get out of predicaments. I have to heal so I could do what I need to do. The counterbalance is the people not partaking in any form of forbidden element upon the face of this earth. Realistically, is the math. I'm telling you of what the math is. If you don't understand the math, that's okay. I do. Refrain from forbidden elements, mixing, wrong measurements, dirty game playing, tampering in the entire process. And forbidden elements is anything you can think of that has to do with emotional, physical harm that you put in your body. Meat, sugar, pills, chemicals, anything that's unjust. A person like me, to understand everything, you have to be live. We have to do this every single second so we can understand realistically the phenomena of what occurred. because a task similar to this is a task of what I did. Not with anybody telling me, however, me understanding something. In terms of everything that ever occurred on my life. No one told me to do this. I did this with understanding. While some people made something seem otherwise. There's a specific element where the force was. Earlier, what I was mentioning to do with the video I watched. You know, there was a specific element in that specific reflection that people got. There's a specific puzzle of what that was. However, I can't say everything else was similar to that. No, they may be trying to take credit for everything. Those groups. I don't know. There's a misunderstanding going on or something. If so, should people call me if there's a misunderstanding going on? Yeah. 818-216-6285 is my number. And my name is Gevo. You can call me. Some people think truth is always me being honest, in terms of a private vision I saw earlier. I think I have to mention everything. They're trying to condition me to mention everything. You know what? Those are nonsense virus groups then to get the heck out of my reality and get out of my reality quickly, I suggest. You know how somebody tried to make me, condition me to do something while I was doing something anyway so they could take credit? That was the attempt of them to do what they're doing at this moment of time also. That's their egotistical behavior. What they're doing is they're showing their ego. In other words, they're very wrong. They're not wrong. They're very wrong. Somebody only wanted me to fit their narrative. Wanted to say, well, this is correct. This is correct. No, this is correct. No, this is correct. They didn't want to see everything from the totality of everything, of what is correct. However, some people change the story, you know? If there's any form of sounds going on, and I go out and tell somebody and this people, hey, you know, there's this going on. That's correct also. However, I didn't believe what people wanted me to believe in terms of any form of suffering. I didn't feed that, I didn't believe that, I didn't partake in that. That's not me. Some people wanted me to do that, you know, go out and mention, so I could believe some type of lies. While people are aware also. Then I don't know, it makes sense to me. In terms of me knowing for sure, well, that's not up to me to know for sure. That's up to me and to the people to know what is true and to know what is correct, for them to tell me the answer if they feel that, though, that is correct. Do people want me to just do something, just to do something, just to get over with something and say something and mention something? Okay. What would be the point of that? Just to get, you just want me to mention something just to get over something? Because there was a bet and a belief that occurred, and the truth won. The top of the information known too, in terms of what a bet is, what an agreement is, what I've mentioned before, people being true and partaking in what is true for the agreement to be made. You have to be true, you have to be the answer, you have to agree, you have to understand, you have to know the elements, you have to see eye to eye, you have to be on the same page. The agreement has to be truth and true direction. Yet, I'm tackling with all this, what's going on. People are trying to disregard 10,000 elements and wanting me to do something so then people can agree with me. You know, they're using different tactics and different methods to try to do something and try to receive something and doing so wrongly. Anytime I feel some type of a very tiny wrong thing, whether outside or technology that I'm sensing at this moment of time, I'm refraining from 10,000 things. People may say, oh, well, that will always happen. And so you can refrain from 10,000 things? Yeah. I'm only going to do what I feel is correct at that point of time. So then that nonsense things that is occurring, the people say, "Well, will always occur." I don't buy that notion. Always will not occur. Wherever's going on, everything should be known what's going on, not only to meet the people. So then this type of nonsense won't occur. People may say, "Oh, well, we were just in what we did." You know, we were just in what we did, and now we're just in what we're doing. there seems to be a wrong amount. There seems to be a gray area, a gap, or something that pinpoints me as something or someone else to some type of other direction. That something is not realistically just. I think people oversaw something, always had some type of wrong effect, tried to disregard many elements, didn't allow people to do what they needed to do, to excuses to continue their nonsense. In other words, lack of knowledge got them in trouble, try to get me in trouble, try to get a bunch of other people in trouble too. So there's something else in terms of a vision I saw. Something to do with a person of what I was sensing several nights ago and last night in terms of while I was doing something, somebody introduced some nonsense scenario to do with some type of a torture, some type of a harm, some type of a suffering that was occurring supposedly around me with some type of screaming that I didn't believe was realistically occurring. And then somebody then showed me another vision to say, oh well, once you do this, there's no looking back. Supposedly that was what that was. And that same person that did that in terms of or whoever did that in terms of them being caused issues on or caused harm on in terms of some type of a fire, being punished. Whoever did that. So the first I believed was a lie. The second I believed was a lie. The third I believed was a lie. And the reason being is because any form of lies to do with visions, to do with thought, whatever's going on is a lie to me, for me. And the reason I'm mentioning this and I'm saying this and I'm believing that is because I'm only feeding in terms of what is true, what is sense for me. That's why. While bringing this to awareness, people know that anything that is wrong is a lie, is also a lie. That has to be abundantly known and also understand the fact of what I'm doing, that there shouldn't be any form of lie, anything. Unless something is with uprightness only. In terms of something not realistically occurring, however, the lessons learned and people doing what is correct, what is true. So that's what realistically was true for me. That's what I focused on. That's what I talked about in terms of bringing that to awareness for nonsense stuff to refrain from occurring and so on and so forth. Then somebody's trying to pick and choose what I'm saying. They're saying, okay, well, even though that's true and everything I've seen that is true, and I don't play dirty games and nothing that is true, some people are possibly doing a thing to do with what I mentioned also. They're trying to mix this possibility. Somebody's trying to mix this or link this. Where if something is preserved and something is true and truth occurs and continues, everything thereafter will also be true also. If somebody's lying and doing lies and doing more lies and more lies and more lies and more lies, then they're doing normal to abnormal to literal. That has to be distinguished in terms of that is not going on. Because anything that's literal or abnormal all has to be reverted back to normal again in terms of what the truth is, not the other way around, not the opposite of. So all that has to be known in terms of what that was, whose story that was, who's trying to link that or mix that with something else, so the truth can be preserved and continue to be true. Then somebody wants me to mention some type of word and some type of other word. You know what? I don't want to mention this anymore because of the fact that they're trying to change the story. They're trying to signify something to something someone else. Okay, so I'm going to write that instead and mention that particular style. However, it has to be known what that equals to, what the signification of that is, because this is obviously a lie, is a puzzle to me, has nothing to do with me, doesn't make sense with me. Okay. It has to be distinguished in terms of what this is, and similar to a formula, everything being in place where everything belongs. However, is that a puzzle? Does that have anything to do with me? No. It's a lie. People believe the lies, partake in lies, and possibly create lies, by trying to throw dirt on me or trying to blame me or trying to make me duped. Something similar to that, maybe, what that equals to. However, nothing to do with reality. So some people are doing that for various other purposes with tests or something, and then under the cover of these tests or whatever is going on, they're trying to possibly make something also. Also, you know what some groups' ideas? Thought, typing, video, and person. Well, depending on what that may be correct, depending on whom that may be correct. Is that correct for everything and everyone and everybody? No. May have variations and specifications. The reason this is not working is because the wrong tentacles, the wrong nonsense virus maths are putting the tentacles on somebody and they're being dragged along and it doesn't work. So that has to be cut. Those tentacles, those wrong maths, those whatever anything is, has to be disconnected, unattached. So figure of speech is the word cut. Because they're having a very, very wrong effect and they're expecting me or somebody else to do something where even if I do, something will be wrong. There's no point of me doing something. And they're jeopardizing the entirety with other people that are making sense, that make sense for me to do what I need to do. So, this is why something is not working correctly. And I think this is a method used for their agenda, their narrative, their nonsense math and to undermine me and to slow me down of my purpose. In other words, they have a lot of hate in them, whoever that those groups may be, and they think they've created a weird reality with their perception, with their perspective of true reality. In other words, heaven on earth, they received with a vision, the visions I received in the very beginning, and their idea of creating heaven on earth was to go against the very nature of heaven on earth and to create heaven on earth. This was the illogical nonsense that was used. Those nonsense groups. Some people want to tell you everything you want to hear, everything you want to see, and they want to fool you. It has to be distinguished of who may that be. Because that also doesn't make sense with me either. While I have legitimate arguments, some groups claim to be me and they're doing something wrong that has nothing to do with me, possibly. And those groups and I don't know one another. Will truth know one another? Regardless of anything, I don't care what you say. Millions of people, billions of people, I don't care. Truth will know everybody, and everything will know one another. Truth being truth. People may say, oh, what about this element? What about this element? What about this element? So, you're true. Who cares? I'm true. I don't care if people know me or don't know me. Therefore, those groups are not realistically true. They're less than of what the truth is to me. So if I know them personally, I say otherwise. Otherwise, I don't know them personally. With that being said, generally being true, there's specifications and variations in terms of me not knowing many people. However, I relate to them. I'm a part of them. I resonate with them. And there's people that I don't resonate with them, and I don't even want to resonate with them. I want people to understand the power of me. That's what many groups don't want people to know. They don't understand how true I am. I want to sneeze a third time, man. I always want to sneeze a third time. This third time doesn't work. Goes away. Are people too busy looking at me or waiting for me to say something instead of being the answer? Because I could say 10,000 things. I could say a million things. And realistically, everything I'm saying realistically is adding on to what is true. Makes sense is not a misspent of time or anything. No. Everything I say has a valid merit of what I'm saying. Even the virus stories I talk about is significant in terms of what I mentioned. However, when I compare the ocean to a pool to a dot of the virus story, to me is insignificant. To me is relevant, in other words. Irrelevant. Versus what is needed, versus what I should be focusing on, what I should be doing for everything to work out correctly, is irrelevant. Everything that was won wrongly with any form of nonsense force, all has to be returned back to what is true. Here's the answer. All else is false. Allow this information to sink in because people may think is irrelevant. However, when you look at the everything with everything, is realistically relevant. If anybody's moving forward with some type of a wrong math, you may be a dysfunction. A lot of people have a lot of maths. The person themselves is a math also. So the wrong math is the problem in terms of the wrong math moving forward. There's a wrong math. One person is a wrong math. Two people are wrong math. Three people are wrong maths. They're moving forward. You know what I'm sensing? I'm sensing a manipulation. You know how people ingest all this information? Somebody did a manipulation of disregarding something, of ignoring something. So whoever those groups were, they're obviously playing wrong on people's lives. They're having a wrong effect. Was that a cup is full and that has to be emptied for another one? Well, what they're doing is they're not realistically making sense. They're having a wrong effect of whatever they're doing. The math is supposed to be done, yet they're having a wrong effect, not allowing me to do what I need to do. So if everybody applies the lessons that I mentioned, true reality will be manifested correctly. If people are turning a blind eye and wanting true reality to be manifested, how will that work? I know what some groups did. Some groups are like, okay, there's 5 groups. People went with me, whoever went with me, of what element they went with me, what element they disregarded, and so on and so forth. People picked and chose. Different timing, different perception, different perspective, different effects, all mattered. The point is to realistically return back to what the truth is and not what you think the truth is. You know? Okay, so what's going on is this. If somebody's making a mistake and they can't even correct their mistake, even if somebody makes a mistake, the mistake is correctable in terms of everything that ever happened from day one to today with me. Every mistake I make was correctable, everything. That's what some people are trying to hide. Be aware. While the mistakes were correctable, some people, while the mistakes were correctable, they decided to cause issues. The entire time they caused unjust issues. The entire time. Caused unjust issues. All has to be reverted. Of what that was. And while I'm doing some type of accounting, somebody else is also doing some type of accounting with me, where they're trying to mimic my thoughts. However, my thoughts are different, their thoughts are different. So who the heck are those people? Do they resonate with me? Do they connect with me in terms of them being true to be on my channels? That's the only time something or someone can be in my channels. If they're resonating with me or they're connecting with me in terms of them being true. How true is somebody? Well, I'm so true that realistically, I'm just me, and it doesn't matter for me if people are aware of me or unaware of me. There may be specifications and variations. However, generally, I don't care if people are aware of me. However, it depends on whom and what the elements may be. However, generally, I don't mind. All depends on the effects and influences. What type of effect, what type of influence some people will have on people. That's all. So I went through a self-exploration in terms of enlightenment process of what I went through realistically. You know, I could have fed in so many images. I chose to do something, understand something of how people were being affected and so on and so forth to then be able to move on to other things. While people try to rush me and jump me, make me jump to something else. And try to make me accustomed to their logic. If that's what they paved way for, their short spans, that's what that equals to. They everybody created some type of temporary life upon themselves, seems though. While I created a long, everlasting life for myself. Well, if you look over here, this says 1,111 years old. Here's the mouse. Here, it says 1,111 years old. And this was a coincidence. How this landed on here. Entire coincidence. That resonates with me in terms of my age and what I've created. And if I create that myself, I create that on terms of everybody else that had a temporary quote unquote life. From to realistically understand what is true, me put everything on that on point, healing predicaments, and for everything to be changed and manifested according to what is true and move thereby. And then, of course, everybody being the answer, everybody being true, there's no issues. People are saying, oh, well, how long is this going to take? Well, I want it to be at this very second. You know, I want something to be at this very moment, at this very second. While I'm explaining this, somebody's trying to make me fail so they could fit me in their narrative at this moment in time, too. Yeah, I noticed them, what they're trying to do. So They're unsuccessful, to be honest with you. Those groups have nothing to do with reality. Their ego behavior, their ego false nature is realistically hurting them while they're trying to drag me in their process. And the dragging portion has to be stopped. You know, even if somebody is dragging the process, cannot be counted, has to be discounted. All of this must be changed according to what is true. So no one is. Oh, also some people they know that you're not failing. You know what they do? They manipulate, cheat, cause issues, make you fail. You know, to then paint the picture and say, "Oh, look, you failed." So some people, you know what they're doing? You know, what I noticed also occurring. You know how there's a singularity or half a word you hear, and you turn that into something nice or beautiful. They're wrong. They're all wrong. Those groups. What they did is they people heard a word, didn't know what I was thinking in terms of filling in the blank, something nice. They distorted something, made something seem those I was thinking something that they were thinking, and had nothing to do with what I was thinking. Okay, so that equals the fact that something or someone attempted to and is still attempting to, and they want me to not mention something. They want me to ignore something. That's their game. They want me to forget. You know, they don't want me to mention something. They want me to forget so they can win lyingly. Otherwise, truth has won and is winning 24/7, 24/8. To be honest with you, and doing so correctly also. The most correct of everything that ever occurred. Matter of fact, too correct. What was that about? Anomaly. I've not only been an anomaly one time or two times or 10 times or 100,000 times, however, many times. Naturally, too. No fix, no this, no that. All counter stuff. Fix scenario. You know, I want something to be done today. I don't want something to be done tomorrow. You know what that equals to? Well, people being the answers or the changes to being able to be. I don't know what, what concept people are taking. So I don't know what type of a weird reality some people created. However, I know that doesn't realistically match with true reality. So what are people trying to show me? Something to do with the wrong math and lies that doesn't add on, or something that is true. And I saw a vision of a past experience of what I visioned before. Somebody's automatically showing me something in terms of me, in terms of them spying on me.